Hello and welcome to Ivory Blush Roses. Today we're going to spend more time with Carol Sarchet. Let's step back into her studio and visit with her as she talks about some of the work she has completed.
Talk about this one first. An artist that was next to me in the studios was dyeing textiles that she was going to use to make clothing for ladies. This was something that she dyed, and I saw it on the wall. It was just a test she was doing. I was so inspired by it. I thought it was so beautiful, but very powerful. I said, "Do you sell these?" She said, "Oh, I never thought of it, but if you like it, I'll sell it to you." So I bought it. I was hearing so much about the Amazon where they were burning down the forest, and I used to live in Brazil, and I was so angry about that I thought, well, this looks like the forest is on fire. And I started embroidering it. This is a piece of wood that I found somewhere. And usually I didn't buy it, but I thought it looked like it had been in a fire. It is very emotional. I call it Fire in the Forest. I did this about 5 years ago, and it's still going on. My anger at the fire is hopefully in this piece. Then I had a lot of old French linen. I was thinking about the drought. This was about 3 years ago in the West. And somebody had found one of those things that goes over the water on the street. All of this is rust dyed. And that was the rusty cap from the street. I may have dyed some of these pieces with coffee or tea, but most of it's rust, and I call it drought. It makes me really sad because growing up in Colorado, you always think of it as being so green and so productive, a lot of agriculture. So it's heartfelt, I guess. I had an exhibition in the Loveland Art Museum, If Chairs Could Talk. It was a tea party. The tea party was around a table, had a glass top. 6 chairs were around it, and on the table I had place settings for tea and cups, and I made food for the table, little cakes and cookies, and I painted the dishes and the plates and the cups to go along with the theme of the chair. I wanted to put hats that I had made. I took a course in millinery and FIT when I was in New York, so I had a lot of hats and chose one for each chair, and I wanted to have them hanging down above the chair. But the museum said it would be blown around and it would be too distracting, so they didn't want to do that. So they made clear plastic frames to put those hats in, and then the people could find the hat that went to a certain place setting. And they had one big wall there. It was just blank. I decided that I would do something like this. And I used coffee filters. I stitched them all together on the machine. That was fun. And I had been gathering all of these quotes from different people, and I wanted to put them on there. And a neighbor of mine, she did all the calligraphy because she had a better hand than I did. I like this one. I am a child who is just getting on. Chagall said that. There's nothing special about the present moment except it's all we have. Somebody named Charles Guinell, I like the quote. Here's another one. Dostoevsky said, "The world will be saved by beauty." That's really a good one. Few have the insight and the courage to live life from the heart. Those who have discovered great treasures that changed the fate of humanity forever. This was a quote of Dustin Brunson, who was a very close friend of mine in Loveland. He is a mystic. Oh, here's one. It's easy to become a monk in one's old age. That's an African proverb. Well, this is my quote. My life is a patchwork of experiences stitched together with pain and pleasure. And then there's the last one over here. is also mine. Diversity makes for a more enchanting world. So I press the flowers. Here's a columbine. If you look behind you, that panel there it goes over tights and a top that matched, and you put that on there. I made that for a professor at CSU who was a fire eater, and he wanted me to make something for his assistant who would be holding the swords that he used. And so I made that. I did weaving with copper in it. I'm glad he gave it back to me. This is the first stick that I ever decorated. I was with a niece in Montana on a road trip to visit another friend, and we stopped by the side of the road. We stopped there and we went over a fence, and we were walking in this field, and it was like drought, very smooth, but just covered with these sticks. I was fascinated because it was beautiful. It looked like another planet. I picked up a stick because I wanted to remember that field, and this is it. I kept it in my suitcase, and when I got home and unpacked it, I thought, oh, what are you going to do with a stick? And I just let it hang out. Then one day, I don't know what inspired me I think it was something to do with the Native Americans. I thought, well, maybe I can do something like they might do just to honor this piece. And so I got out my embroidery thread and started winding. My sister, the one who lived in Japan, she sent me these gem colors from Japan, and they're metallic. And I said, oh, I could paint those metallic. So that's what I did, and they're watercolors, so can't get these wet. I painted it, and I really liked the way it stuck on the stick. I loved working with different pieces of silk, or cotton, metallic, or all kinds of fibers. It was pandemic, and I was really depressed, but this brought me out of it because I was painting with these beautiful colors. Come in a packet like this. They're just amazing. Then this one has a bead. Sometimes I do beads. And I left some of the wood showing. I like that because it goes with the fact that this is really an old piece of wood. So that's how it got started. And then I walk in the park 3 blocks from me every day if the weather is nice. And I saw more sticks. This is from there. And I just started picking them up, and pretty soon I have a whole mound of sticks. But I continued to do this project because with the pandemic, this was a therapeutic thing I could do, and it didn't cost anything. I didn't have to go out and buy anything because I have all kinds of thread and yarn, and I have my new paints, and I stuck with it. I'm laughing because the first one I gave away, I made one for my sister. I did an indigo one for her with a little bit of silver. And for Christmas, and I put a message in the card, if life gets tough, stick with it. And really that's what I was doing. I was so on the urge of being, wacko because I couldn't stand what was happening that I had to stick with it. And this is what kept me going, and I'm still doing it. I give them away, and I think people enjoy them. And I just recently made a little one that I put in this pocket that a niece made, and it's metallic paint, and it's a rainbow for hope. And I put it in here, and I call it my purse pal, because if I'm feeling sad, I can look at my purse pal. It's a rainbow. So I'm thinking I'm going to make more of these purse pals because everybody needs something to cheer them up in the times we're living in. I have a lot of different materials. I haven't used this yet, and this, and love these variegated pieces. This is variegated. Maybe it doesn't show up so much. It's just all kinds of things that I've gathered up. I do not go to stores and buy this stuff. Well, sometimes I do, but a lot of times it's just things I've had on hand or find somewhere. This, I think, my sister dyed with indigo. And this is just some gauze that I dyed. Ooh, I love this blue. It shows that it's real wood. Here's another little purse pal I'm going to make. Just started it this morning. Kind of looks like a man who's holding his hands out like that. To me, these sticks have personality. They're my friends. Here I can make a mess and I don't have to look at it all day long. I mean, I can go away and not worry about having to tidy up. This is an interesting thing that I found in New York in the garment center. This is cork. I guess I could do a stick with this cork. Yeah, I'm taking this one because it doesn't have any bumps. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I could try to put some yarn with it. I guess I like color. I could thread this through here because it had holes. I think that's what I'll do. Yes, I like that. It would be best to have a brighter color because this is not showing up very much, but let's see if something a bit heavier. Trying it out to see what can be done. Well, I think it's kind of interesting. So this is how I work. I get inspired by something that I just happen to find somewhere, or it's on a table and all of a sudden I think of something. Yes, I think I'm going to do one like this. Trees have always been very important to me. But now I have to do the miniature. That one, people see it as a tree, but I was seeing it as cracking earth. Well, it's okay if you think it's a tree. Down at the bottom, it looks like roots, doesn't it? Following all the trees to come down to the sticks now that I'm old. They're mystical to me. And these sticks particularly are mystical. So I hope that people that have them will think about nature and how we can preserve what we have.
This piece started with a mix of hand-dyed burlap, gauze, and threads, also some of Carol's wrapped sticks and other tidbits such as beads, charms, and small stitched pieces. She auditioned various placements before completing the piece with this arrangement, which she then stitched onto a silk backing. I loved watching it come together. I hope you enjoyed spending a little more time with Carol Sarchet today. In the description box below, there are links to a couple of newspaper articles you may find interesting about Carol's If Chairs Could Talk exhibit in 2013. Thank you so much for watching and for all your wonderful comments. Have a lovely creative day, and I'll see you in the next video.